4 years, but it's still baffled sometimes. I'm surprised it's still working at that long.
Well, we have S9s and we just have 24s.
Check your plants. I soon watered it.
I had a water meeting, nobody watered them last week. I even deadheaded a lot of them.
Wow, I feel like it's lovely.
You got this jam right up here.
That's right.
So,
Okay. Is there anything up here?
go to your right a little. More. There you go. Nope. Sorry.
That's okay. I don't take offense. I just like how the whole crowd just stopped.
It was quiet anyway.
If that's all it takes, hell. I got this over who commanded, so thank you.
We're pretty easy.
How are you?
You're the center of attention, Bill.
Listen, inadvertently on everything, so. Good over that. Thank you for that. And hello, Dan, by the way. Good. Okay.
Front door open.
I made it. Before we start, do we have all board council members here?
Yes. Only person missing so far at the head table is Janet.
Just like my crowd.
No, you're good.
Thank you. It's very pleased with it. Lot of animals. Waters. It's on the drain, as it's intended to do.
That's the big thing.
Yes. Very pleased with how that went. One of my reasons to wait for the.
Back door open.
Here's John.
With 10 seconds to spare.
Well.
It's 7:06. And then,
Call meeting to order, please all rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion to approve the agenda, please.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Police report.
You have a copy of the report in the packet.
Yep. Fire report.
So, last month we had in total 30 runs, 11 fires. We had a vehicle fire, 3 assists, a couple of driving, one to Hadley, one to Wexford. 5 false alarms, 1 wire that was smoking, and 1 I just can't remember what it was. Had 17 medicals, 1 in the village, and 2 PIs.
Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Dan.
County Commissioner, looks like he's not here yet. If he's coming. Planning Commission.
Another quick meeting, we had nothing on the agenda.
I do have something, but it's down under new business in regards to planning commission, so.
Okay, thank you.
DDA.
So, Leah Bellis, that owns Smart Dog, would like the council's, approval. She has partnered with Seven Ponds Nature Center and to do some, low
Wetland,
maintenance, do some landscaping, but it's like no maintenance, so like butterfly, along the fence, get a couple benches, you know, where the Lions Hall put up the fence. Along the fence going up to the balloon field, kinda sporadically, have like a couple benches and different like little flower gardens that are like for butterflies or different types of nature. And there are things that we don't have to maintain. So, she wanted to see if the council would approve something like that. Possibly even doing, depending on the cost, doing one, you know, the low spot there. Yeah.
Where the
Do-
monster trucks used to go.
Yeah,
Right, basically right off Oak Street where the water, storm drains drain out down there too. It's always a big wet hole.
so instead of having it look, Seven Ponds came out and actually recommended that that would be a really great area to do. They had some really great ideas for that, so to make it, just to beautify it, basically.
So kind of certain birds will hang out there
Mhm.
more and butterflies and kind of a little sanctuary for stuff like that, so.
Do we actually need a motion for that, Mr. Kinman?
Do you wanna just get sort of consensus that the idea sounds good, but make it like subject to a site plan approval or something by either the planning commission or the village council?
Yes, you should put something on paper.
We can kind of make that into a motion then.
I want to get into a motion.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to give them the go ahead to work with Nature Center about
A consensual drawing.
And then we're,
landscaping in down there.
sorry, and then we're looking at, we're getting new signs for the village. We're getting, one for 24. And then some for the village, and we are getting a sign for Metamora Community Park as well. I did have the sign guys out, we might look at switching Harmon too, cause Harmon Park, because it's, yeah, it's, while they're here, if we can get it in the cost, and then that way, and everything's gonna kinda tie together. So the signs we're looking at is, if you've seen the township sign, the one on 24 will look similar to that, except for it'll say like, welcome to Metamora. And then the ones in the village look more like this. So they kind of distinguish where you're at.
And this is it. Out of the DDA's pocketbook, not ours,
Yes.
so it's not
The
costing
DDA
us.
pilot.
Yep. So,
We love it. Yes.
Can I add as a DDA member?
yes,
The whole goal is so since I've been on the DDA, is to work collaboratively with the village council as opposed to against. So I think it's a great, just my opinion, I think it's a great collaborative effort with the approval of the board. So we have some very good DDA board members, I think, and trying to go in a positive direction. So that's just my own opinion.
Things are gonna start rolling a little smoother. Well, if that's it on DDA, we'll move along. Turning reports all down in the
Yes, all in text.
council communications.
I do have a couple quick things. Just wanna let you know that I am going to be reaching out to a couple different companies. One of our phone bills for it's called the SCADA system, it goes from the water tower to the well house, they talk back and forth. So like the water tower's starting to get low, the wells know to kick on, pump up to the water tower. Our bill has risen very much. Wow, sorry. I get it, I'm struggling. I'm a little tired today. So back in June of 24, it was like $160. Back in October of 24, they raised it to like $350, doubled it, and it just went up to $882 a month. So there is some other systems.
Somebody not hanging up and using it all the time?
There's some other systems we can go with. They will be a little pricey for the initial startup, but in the long run, it will definitely save us money. Some of them are radio communication as opposed to going through phone lines. I've reached out to Spectrum to see what they have anything comparable. So just so you know, I am working on it. Yes. When I saw that this month, I
would say
free now. So another quick thing is some of the businesses downtown are already aware. I don't know if everybody else is. There will be filming tomorrow downtown at the Four Corners. The local police are going to be working with the film crew. It's going to be roughly 2 to 3.5 hours. They don't exactly know how long. It's something to do with Dodge Ram, footage of Dodge Ram truck driving through the village. So the police are working in coordination with them. They're going to shut down first like 5 minutes at a time, then let traffic through, shut down for 5 minutes. So that's why they need such a long period of time to film, because they're going to keep traffic trying to be flowing.
We're super excited. I had to listen to them today.
Oh, I know.
They believe our town is beautiful. They were like, this is such a beautiful town.
So if you see traffic backing up, or if you see something being shut down for a little bit, that's why. I just want to give you guys a heads up.
Well, I got one kind of another nice nasty expense to bring up and talk about that we need to redo. The storm drain that drains from this side of town that runs down on the west side of the railroad bed. I forget how many, I was in office, but I forget how many years ago it was. Now we had Rick Schenkel dig it out.
If you would like
Clean.
some video footage as to why, I have video on my phone, because it all floods to my backyard.
Well, and I've already contacted Rick from R&M Excavating, and he's done it ever since the village took over the railroad bed. He used to do it from when Margaret Brower was in office. The main problem right now is we've let all that box elders and everything overgrow so much. A lot of them on the ditch and railroad bed side are gonna have to come out. In which, when they keep growing, they just keep causing more of the problem and making things dam up a little quicker and easier. And Rick does know where, basically where the one here on North Oak Street that comes down along
Crosses over and goes in. It's like an 8-inch main from there that dumps into it too, that goes down. So it's not just the water from right in this area. And I think there's 2 other ones that cross over. And without, they're kind of hard to find, but if you got a general idea where they're at, it's a little easier. But what he recommended so far was to talk with Mark Edwards about cutting the trees and having them just mulch them up, which then we could use the mulch over for the trail, so you could just dump it over there. But I have no idea what it's gonna cost. They're trying to put together some figures.
I can imagine people are gonna wonder why that's being cleared out.
Yeah, well, it's plugging up again with
Yeah.
silt and everything, it has to be done, you know,
It's been a long time, I don't remember what date, it was early on
yeah,
in my time, like 23 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
well, it was done back when I was on,
yeah,
just barely on.
so,
But then, if Mark just cuts the trees and gets rid of the brush and everything, they can pull the roots and stuff out, or the stump, easily.
It'll make their work easier.
Yeah, and cheaper in the long run, you know.
You're like everybody
So
else
it's
at
just,
the same time.
it's one, you know, with like the bad rains we've been having and everything, it's washing even that much more, so it's something that, before it completely plugs, is what it does down there, then it crosses underneath the railroad bed and dumps down into our property down there. Now, on the east side, we had Rick do 4 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe it's been longer.
It was a little bit longer.
Maybe it could be 6.
But that's still working beautiful
Right,
down
that's good.
there.
That was
So-
a big job.
Yeah. So this one here is gonna be bigger than doing that over there. It's a lot longer, a lot further. But I just wanted to, you know, give you the heads up that
it definitely needs to be done.
it's gotta get done, and I don't know if we have to really put that all out to bid or not. You know, personally, I would like to almost have R&M do it because they've done it in the past and they're familiar with it.
Same with Mark. Mark typically does what we need done around town. He's our go-to.
Right.
And, you know, R&M is the most familiar with how all that system works down there.
Right.
So,
But if it looks like the price is gonna be too pricey,
We'll definitely get a couple.
we'll get
quotes.
some, you know, get some bids. That's enough bad news out of me for now.
Thank you. Yeah, we appreciate it.
I need the motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Right.
Opposed? Public time.
So I'm really glad to hear there will finally be a sign in Metamora Community Park, even though it's really only been a year since people were telling me it wasn't a park and Metamora Community Park wasn't the name. But it is good to take that step. I want to encourage putting a second sign down by Deer Ridge Run, so those folks know too. And I think it'd be really great to put a map on the sign so then people know what the park is, because the map that was out there before it was turned this way and everyone seemed to think the park went that way. So anyway, if we get an accurate map, I think that would be great. And again, it's been 11 years and 9 months since that was purchased. So good step. I do want to say, I very much applaud improving it and putting plants and that kind of thing. But I do think we have to respect that the number one activity out there all these years has been driving off-road vehicles illegally, okay? But the number two activity has been using that bowl as a sledding hill. And I think that's been great to see kids from everywhere coming and using that as a sledding hill. So I don't know if it's possible to both put plants there and still have it as a sledding hill, but that is a really cool use, and it's been neat to see all these years. Tina, you said where the monster trucks used to go. I hope that's a sign that we're not going to have monster trucks out there anymore, because that wasn't appropriate. And that wasn't good for the village liability. It wasn't good for anybody's safety, having monster trucks out there, as I said like 1,000,000 times now. I wanted to ask about the Holden steps out here that were kind of rushed on to the agenda and all that kind of thing. So in the email from Bill Holden, it said, a handrail will be installed as well for safety and appearance purposes, but there's no handrail. So I'm wondering if that's going to happen at some point. He had mentioned stainless steel when he was at the meeting, and have those steps been inspected? Because again, last meeting I told you that Joe Israel, the zoning administrator who approves things like that and site plan changes and all that kind of stuff, had not even heard those steps were going to be there. So, and they were already constructed. You know, it's, gosh, so many things to go over. So today I was at what was supposed to be a special meeting of the road commission, our county road commission. But the Elba Township supervisor came and he said, hey, you guys didn't put this meeting on your website. Yeah, it was on the door, but it wasn't on the website. And he said, if you have an active internet presence, if you have a website, you're supposed to have it on there. So then they had to cancel the meeting. Well, how many times has there been a meeting here and it was on the door, but it wasn't on the website? Like dozens and dozens and dozens. The budget meetings for years were not put on the website for sure. It's been hard to keep track of sometimes. And from the Open Meetings Act handbook, if the public body maintains an official internet presence that includes monthly or more frequent updates of public meetings, agendas, and minutes, they must post notice of a special meeting at least 18 hours before the meeting on the body's website, fully accessible. So again, maybe you didn't know that, but that seems like something you should have known, and that's been in the manual since at least 2022, perhaps before. And on that note, talking about the website, I am wondering if you're ever going to expand the meeting minutes that are available on there, because 2017 is the earliest that we can get to. And like the township has dozens of years before that. It'd be nice if they were there. The planning commission meetings, those minutes are never on the website. That'd be great. The ordinances, the zoning ordinances are there, but the other ordinances are not. It would be great to have them there. How much time do I have left?
20.
Okay. And speaking of ordinances, I'm wondering the last time ordinances were reviewed, because I was reading about this and it looks like every 2 to 5 years is a good time frame to review ordinances and make sure they're still in accordance with state law, because state law changes and local needs change and all that kind of thing. And this place has been changing a lot, so it seems like that would be good. I looked at the master plan because they recommend those are reviewed every 10 years. And it looks like you guys are on the 20-year plan for the master plan. But again, things are changing around here, so maybe somebody wants to look at that. I'll get to the rest later. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Claire Effing Bucasel. I am one of the applicants for the Zoning Board Commission. I am a new resident to the town, or to the Village of Metamora. I grew up down in Washington Township, and so that is one of my goals of hopefully being able to join a member of the Zoning Commission, because the Township of Washington is developing in a very unique way that's taking away from the natural beauty of the land. So I'm really hopeful that if my application is approved, that I can be an asset to the board and really help in those regards. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, then.
Anybody else? I'm not sure if anyone has had an opportunity to walk through the parking lot area, the steps, all that stuff that you guys so kindly approved for us. We thank you very much. We think that everything turned out great. It's really opening up from the village parking to our parking lot to going over towards the general and things like that. We took a lot of time and effort putting that in there. The handrail is on order. It should be here, I think, the 22nd. Probably be installed by the 24th for the set of steps. I think that's it. But I just want to tell the board thank you for all your work and consideration. I'm very proud of what we are doing to try and help our community. So thank you for you guys approving everything. Keep up the good work.
That's awesome. Thank you. I like them. I walk up them.
Everything with that parking lot finished looks really nice. Yeah.
Come together.
Yes.
Any other public time for right now? Okay, we'll move on to unfinished business. Water main extension.
We were sent a draft. The last draft that we were sent by the selling party included a proposal for us to allow a chlorination system building. Their proposed location for it was, if you go down to the Jamestown subdivision, turn left into the entrance and stop before you actually get in there, and look to your right, there's a grassy area. The right-of-way is actually larger than the normal road right-of-way because of state law on a platted subdivision, so there's a little bigger grassy area over there. And their proposal was to construct a system that would, a building that would allow them to put more chlorination in the system as it went out into the township. I thought this is the kind of thing where we really needed to look it over on the ground, so I met John, Clark, and Tina out there to take a look at it. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like in their estimation, the engineer says the building would be basically 10 by 20, and about 9 foot tall. I think John's comment was it's too busy of an area in terms of the lines that run down through there. And well, it's in front of a house, directly in front of somebody's house. It's also sort of the village welcome mat when you come into the village, and also the Jamestown welcome mat when you drive into there. And I assume this would not be a Taj Mahal chlorination building. So I did communicate. Obviously the village council's free to vote on that. I just probably assumed that if John wasn't going to support it and Tina were going to support it, and given your comments at the last meeting, that I was safe in telling them that it looked unlikely that the village was going to approve a chlorination building in the proposed location that they had. Now, the other side of that coin is they tied the $150,000 connection fee to us agreeing to have the chlorination building there. So who knows what will happen to that proposal. I have given you a proposal of my sort of most recent round of my proposed revisions back to them. I did considerable more work dealing with, there was a basic provision that said they were supposed to reimburse the township, or excuse me, the village for costs that the village incurred, but it really didn't say for what. And so, in case that became a tug of war, I wanted to nail that down because it's important that they reimburse the village, because we assured our residents that, you know, this is not going to be on their tab. One of the things that they proposed putting out there was, for lack of a better term, I'll just call it an equipment vault. It's essentially an underground cavity where they would put certain things, and those certain things would include the master meter. So of course you all have meters at your house. Well, we need a meter where the water is going out into their system that would be provided into the township. There's the shutoff valve, so this is literally the valve you turn to turn the tap on for water that's going out there. There would be a low pressure warning system. And there's also a backflow preventer. And the backflow preventer makes sure that whatever water we send out to them doesn't turn around and come back into our system. And so, at least for now, that's still in the spot that they have it on the plans, pretty much in front of the Jamestown entrance to the right, but underground. One of the problems that I had all these things reviewed by our village engineer and our water operator, and one concern we had was if you put things in an underground vault, if you do it a certain way, you trigger what is referred to in the industry as our confined space rules, which is basically if you're going to go underground in a confined space, it triggers certain safety requirements because there's more risk for lack of oxygen or whatever else that happens when you're in an underground cavity, or if there's a danger of something like caving or whatever. So our operator has indicated to us that they do it all across the state, and if you design that in a certain way, you don't necessarily have to comply with the confined space rules. You say, well, what's the significance of that? He said every time they go into a confined space, they send us a bill for $800. So one of the things I put into the agreement is that when they design that vault, that they need to do it so that it doesn't trigger those confined space rules. He said there's a certain way that you can do that and that not be a problem. I also put in there that they needed to address preventing any problems with freezing in the items that are down there as well. One of the other big things that we addressed in the revisions is they gave us a draft that basically said if something went bad with the water system, like the system went down or we had a problem, they basically said you got 24 hours to get it fixed, or else we go in and we get access to the system. That didn't strike us very well. No. So my proposal, which I ran the original one by the operator, and they weren't overly uncomfortable, but I wasn't comfortable. We know we're doing this as a good Samaritan. I don't really wanna put us under such a tight time deadline, so I moved that from 24 hours to 72 hours. And then I basically said, look, it doesn't give you the right to just come in and start working on our system and making alterations and doing things. I said, we have the right to have someone present. You don't make any adjustments, alterations, or repairs to anything in our part of our system unless we give you a prior written consent to do that. So I'm just trying to protect the integrity of our system. I understand they don't want to have their water line down. Nobody does. You know, when there's a breach, there was a Macomb County breach in a water line that, you know, they had boil water advisories. It was a huge line. It was a couple of feet, you know, 2 or 3 feet wide. And so this was a huge line. And I know they don't want to have it down, but I also don't want to put us in a pinch where it's not like we have busloads of operators sitting here in case there's a major problem. And I just want to give us a little bit more leeway. I also dealt with, there's going to be this vault there, but that's basically where their system comes into our village right away and hooks on, and that's where the shut-off valve is turned open, and that's where they get their water. But what that means is their system essentially starts at that point in time, and that goes to the edge of the village boundary, and then it goes on out into the township. Well, I don't think the village should have anything to do with maintaining their system with their water in it. I don't want us to touch that. I've set the agreement up in a very specific way that says once it leaves our system, the water is all yours. It's up to you to maintain it. It's up to you to make sure the water quality is maintained. And so I incorporated into the proposed revisions an easement, so that they have an easement to run that line to get to the valve, and it's their responsibility to maintain it, and obviously to construct it. So, you know, and I deal with, I think Adam charges $75 for the easement. That's not where we want to get our money, because whatever money you have on that gets charged transfer taxes when you record it at the registry of deeds. So we'd rather have connection fees than we would easement fees. So that's why I kept that low. I did leave a blank in the agreement for the width. I would like to talk to the village engineer about what their recommendation on how wide it is that they want that. Again, we just don't want the village responsible for anything in their water system. And it really becomes their water system the minute it leaves that shut-off valve. And so that's how we try to structure it. My proposal is for you to look this over in the coming weeks and possibly set this up for a vote at next month's meeting to be able to propose back to them that this is what we would be willing to agree to. I don't know what they'll do with once we take the chlorination building off the table. You say, well, where are they going to put the chlorination building if they don't put it where they've asked to put it? It's not our job to tell them how to design their system, but they do. You know, there's right of way all the way out there. Our engineer thought that the proposed building that they had might be too big to fit inside of a road commission right of way. But it's also my understanding from the research that we did and from the comments that they have made is that they actually own property out there that fronts on Stock Road. So
we walked.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be better to actually have it out further out there?
That makes sense.
That to me, because it was the whole thing when we had to sit through that was.
Yes,
the further it goes,
it's the chlorination fade, which is the longer the water stays in the pipe, the further it runs, the more, especially when it's warmer, the chlorination levels tend to fade, and when the chlorination levels tend to fade, it gets more stale. I try to discipline myself because it's not our job to tell them where to put their items. I only bring that up for this reason. They have somewhere else to put it other than at the welcome mat of our village. Mm-hmm. So
wait till they talk to the health department. Everything's going to change all over again.
Well, I understand this is complicated because it's a public water system, which means that the state approves the public water system. After the Flint mess, you want to guess how hard it is. And after a number of the public officials in the water department in Lansing got, at least attempted to be prosecuted for what they did, or didn't do on the Flint thing. You can imagine, this is not going to be an easy thing, because the state has already expressed in phone calls, joint phone calls with us, they're not a big fan of private water systems. And I understand in this situation, they may make an exception because we have folks who've been facing this contamination and it has a very serious effect. There's not a whole lot of other options to deal with it. And so they may approve it eventually, but that won't be our fight. That's got to be the WIH's fight. So those are the major revisions. I've tried to deal with the big issues and come up with practical solutions and do a better job of swinging the agreement towards something that makes it more flexible to us, so that if the thing busts on Christmas Eve and we don't have it fixed by Christmas night, that we don't necessarily get in trouble. I wanted to give us a little bit more flexibility. I also wanted to protect the integrity of our system, not just have them, the clock runs on the deadline, also they're rushing in there and opening up our system and doing who knows what. Right. So I have gotten really good feedback and input from our engineer Paul Lemira and from our F&B operator, and I really appreciate their assistance, and we will continue to rely on them. But my goal is to have something after we fill in the last blank or two, to have something pretty close to this to present to you for next month's meeting, to propose back to them.
A lot of this would have been already a lot easier to resolve if they would have run it right up our east boundary line.
We're running down a totally different road that they stopped and went back and went another direction. So.
Thank you for all your work there.
Thank you.
Patience.
Can I bring something up while we're kind of talking about that? Do we have any updates or where we at on our wells?
That's the next thing on the agenda.
That's the next step.
Oh, okay.
Do you need to put the glasses on?
Put them glasses down.
It says water.
Sit on top of your
That's just what I
put
love
them
to
down.
ask. Sorry.
Water study was number one.
Okay, so we were hoping to have the other quote from, I don't even remember the name of the company. They didn't do the engineering aspect of it. They just did the well drilling. They have backed off and now they won't give us a quote. After trying to contact them a couple more times, they just basically washed their hands of it and said it's not a project they want to do. So we still currently only have the one quote from Peerless. Now, mind you, this is a year old now. It was April 1st of 24. They do everything as far as permitting. They do all the engineering, and that was the quote for roughly $220,000 to do a new well. So that's where I'm at. I'm stuck. I don't know who else to reach out to. We've tried Brown Drilling, the ones that said basically they had done the original well for the water tower. They did the water tower or the well? I can't remember. The one well.
The originals.
And the last time we tried to get a quote from them for something, we got a quote, they'd come back, we didn't use them. So now when Brian contacted them for this job, they said, we've quoted you before in the past, you didn't go with us, why should we quote you again?
Well, I also heard that they don't do 12.
And it's really hard to find somebody to do 12 and 12. It's not just a common, not every well is really can do it. And now you're talking not just 12 and 12, you're talking municipal water. So a lot of people don't want to do it. So.
Would Ballingers have any idea who to?
They don't have any equipment.
No, not for them to do it, but maybe who could do it? You know, being in business.
I've even went
You talk
on the line. I've contacted quite a few, and they give me the runaround and give me other numbers to try to call, and you know.
So I don't know if we want to put it off again, trying to get. I don't know who else.
The one company wanted to know, well, if you want, we could drill you 2 8 and 12. It's like, okay, here we go.
That's
not what we're at. It takes equipment half as big as what everybody has to do a 12-inch well is the problem.
I don't want to keep putting it off. We have to move forward with it, but I'm at a standstill when we reach out to companies and they either don't do it or don't get back with us or don't want to quote us. I don't
on this one, though, company, I forget, because I've talked to so many different ones. where was the well gonna be located at? Did they actually come up with a?
Wasn't Peerless the one that was moving it over a little?
They were moving it a little, they had to do a setback, they were gonna apply to the state for a setback, cause they were moving it. And the application to the state for the setback and everything is included in the cost. I don't see exactly where they plan on putting it on this paperwork.
Okay. Just something I'd kind of,
Yeah, no.
and part of the reason is we've already paid to have that 12-inch turbine pump
Correct.
rebuilt.
Northwest corner of the existing building.
Okay, we could probably have them put the rebuilt turbine pump in
Right.
there then.
That was the plan.
220 with using our rebuilt pump? Or them supplying a pump? I'm just at, because
Yeah.
I priced it different way too, and I'm, but we might be able to get the price down a little bit. So
Spent a lot of money rebuilding it,
Right.
so we were sitting on somebody's floor.
Is this something we can quick double check on maybe?
Right, but I kind of would like to at least, if we're going to go with them, at least let them get started on the permitting process, cause that's gonna take a while.
Another delay in things.
Right. So,
Where are they out of?
they are out of Ionia.
They're probably one of the few that can actually do the job.
Right. So, what
When
we
you
like
got
to,
work when you can do work that big, you can't pick and choose your work.
right.
And
Yeah.
you didn't call me back, too bad, I'll call again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just been way too
Yeah.
long. I don't like the thought of it,
Well, let's get something flying then. I mean, this.
We did get
All
some
we're
of the
gonna do
money.
is set, let's set, but let's, we have an issue right now.
We did get some money already in
Right.
advance
From the DDA.
from the DDA towards replacing.
So Lloyd, is that a motion for us
I'd
to
like to make
contact
a motion, we get something moving then.
with Peerless?
Fearless, yes.
I'll second.
I would love to be able to make one more phone call.
Okay,
Just at least make it subject to me having another shot at being able to find someone else to put a quote in on it.
Okay.
I will promise, if we can't get an answer this week, then we can move forward with it, but,
you may know the
I
company?
have a contact in
Okay.
the industry, let's put it that
Okay,
way.
we have the provision of,
Subject to Mr. Denny reaching out to another company for a second quote.
yes, please.
Yeah, in other words, we're not gonna notify these people yet until
Okay.
I take another shot at it, so.
Are you still wanting to second that, Suzy?
Yes.
Okay.
Am I allowed to ask, why do we need a new well?
Because it was one of the original ones and it's rotted out and
We have three.
sand is coming in.
So it's just really old?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had some maintenance work done to
1978, I
it.
think.
It's beyond repair. We need to drill a whole new one. But, I mean, we're not without water. We do still have two wells that are functioning.
Thank you.
So it's been moved and seconded to go ahead with,
Drill a subject to Mr.
Drill.
Denny.
Correct.
subject to Mr. Denny checking out one other company and notifying Tina. All approved? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. New business, solar beat service program.
Okay, so our 3-year maintenance that we had with the solar bees, those are the mixers, aerators that are out in the sewer lagoons, in case you are not aware. That actually came up in November of 24. They did not reach out to us with our renewal plan. So in the email they sent us, typically the standard cost is $9,000 a year. They have lowered it to $8,000 a year for us since they made a mistake and didn't reach out to us. So I am not sure what you guys would like to do. If you would like to do a 1 year, if you wanna, that's with the 1 stop per year, that's pretty standard, that's what we've had in the past. They also have 2 stops per year at $14,000, or an additional. Sorry, I'm just looking, build, it doesn't even make sense to me. 1 stop per year, 3 total, for $8,400 per year.
In the past,
We've done the 3-year,
and
that's
got
what
the
it is.
DDA to pay for it,
Correct,
because they actually purchased the solar deeds.
yep,
And that's why they were really started with.
Right.
Because of the sewer.
but with or without the DDA's funding on
Right.
it, we need to basically approve this. A maintenance contract, whether you wanna do the 1 stop per year at 8,000 or do the 3-year billed annually for a total cost of $25,200, which equals out to $8,400 a year.
Have we really needed them 3 times a year?
No, that's for 3 years.
Oh, 3, I'm sorry.
1 stop per
One
year.
stop per
And,
year.
and also the solar beads they use when they're putting the
The ferric
ferric
chloride.
chloride in. It helps mix it and make it work a lot better. Before they go out and roll around in a
And a boat.
rowboat and just hand pump it.
Yep.
This they can run a hose out right to it and pump it out of the 55-gallon drum, and it goes in, and the pump that churning the water already, it meters it in and lets it flow all out into the whole lagoon a lot better.
What's it mean?
Where are we at with dredging?
We're still,
I know that, is it biotech?
like, biotech.
They're supposed to be getting us the price and telling us when they could do it, and I'll have to follow up on that one, because Brian was supposed to be contacting them last month.
And we run into the same issue there. There's only so many companies that are licensed
Well,
to
those are
do.
the ones that came out and did the sampling and everything for
Right.
us, and,
Because I thought we approved that.
they just have to get us on their schedule.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to work anymore.
No. So do we wanna do the 1 year for 8,000 or the 3-year at 8,400? So I mean, it saves us a little bit, but it's a 3-year commitment.
I'll make a motion that we do the 3-year. I'll second.
Moved and seconded to do the 3-year solar bead maintenance contract agreement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, under new business again, planning commission vacancy.
Well, as you know, we have a vacancy on the planning commission that was caused by Chris Lambert leaving. His term is due to expire December 31st of this year, the new term starting January 26th. We have had 2 people that showed interest in filling the vacancy. One gentleman Facebook messaged the village. I had asked for an email to be sent with a letter of interest. I've contacted him back 3 times, still nothing from him, not even a response back to a Facebook message. Then Claire contacted us and has submitted a letter of interest. And they need somebody in their board.
We just made a quorum at the last meeting.
Did you?
Yeah. Somebody got here about 7:01, I think, so we just,
Yeah.
just don't go.
So would we make a motion?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to have Claire be the person going on that village planning commission. Thank you for coming and introducing yourself.
Yes, thank you.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to put the new member on the planning commission. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Welcome.
Okay. Looks like we're back down to public time again.
Well, congratulations, Claire. It'll be good to have new people or no person on the planning commission. I do want to encourage everybody, all of you and anyone on a planning commission and any board to go out there and go to other townships and other villages and other places and see how they do things. Because I gotta say, our planning commission, I've been to every township planning commission for like years now, and I've never seen any of them there. So it just would be good, and then you could learn about how, because the township is redoing their sign ordinance. I mean, like, they've been taking more than a year to do it, but you could learn more about how that works and all that kind of stuff. And then you get more information from Joe Israel and the township planner there. So anyway, it's a good learning opportunity. So the complaint I put in front of you today, I just want to note there that kind of the main thing I'm seeing right now is, by my count, and I'm tired today, but I counted 16 vehicles that I marked down that were parked inside Harmer Park. Again, that's not what happened. That's when I passed by and saw. So in particular, on May 11th, there was one parked over by the Porta-John, and it was just kind of floating out there. So that means probably there were more parked there that day than the 6 that I saw. So this is continuing to be a problem, and you all have a responsibility per both deeds to that property there to keep vehicles out of there. It is not a parking lot. And I get that people are confused because once a week in the summer, on Thursday nights, y'all allow it to be a parking lot, and it's not supposed to be a parking lot. But these road vehicles are certainly not being used by people using the park, so they should not be allowed in. Again, you have all kinds of options: landscaping, barricades, all sorts of things. And I gotta tell you, based on the timing I'm seeing and how many hours people are parked in there, and in particular, on the 17th, 2 vehicles were still parked there at 10:34 p.m. Possibly employees of businesses here. So you could talk to the business owners and say, hey, tell your employees not to park in Harmer Park. I also think it'd be wise, as we're looking at signs in the parks, and Janet mentioned maybe redoing the sign in Harmer, put one over here so people know that's park too. Because people are just confused. Not everybody lives here. Not everybody knows everything. We have tons of visitors, hundreds of thousands of visitors from other areas. So it'd be really good to mark that. 2 golf, again, this is just what I see. It's not total of what happens. 2 golf carts on the rail trail again, past that sign that says authorized vehicles only. And one of them are folks who've had contact with the police in the past about their illegal golf cart use, folks who have driven on the sidewalk numerous times, and folks who tell you know the law and know better, but they continue to just violate. 2 golf carts out after dark. Again, that's low. Weather was bad, and that's all I saw because I was busy. I was wondering a couple weeks ago, so the light gets shut down and the Metamora Lions are out there collecting money. Okay, but I've never heard that brought before the council. Is that something that you just allow as they wish, or is it something Tina decides can happen? Just to me, that would seem to be a council decision, but it's never come up. So Mr. Denny still has, a few meetings ago, he, described that to be a good lawyer, answer your phone and protect your clients. He still has not described how allowing all those off-road vehicles in that tiny little park with no fire extinguishers and structures, and allowing Metamora Country Days and Hot Air Balloon Festival to happen with barely any information on paper, how that has been protecting his clients. Because again, that is far substandard of anywhere else around here. And I would really love an explanation at some point why our special event application is so sparse and has been allowed to go through. And actually there have been years where it wasn't even approved by the council, that huge festival. And I also like to hear at some point from Mr. Clark here, who used to be a fire chief, why steel rods being used as parking in that extremely uneven front field, where it's slippery and grassy and all that why on earth you would ever allow that? And when I brought that up in the past, you said, oh, things are going to change in that park later on. But forbid it. Forbid that. You get to set the rules of your park, and that would be a very wise one to do. So I would love to hear at some point, Mr. Clark, how it's smart to allow steel rods for parking. And I really would love to see you guys put fire extinguishers out there for the concert days. Anytime you have a structure and you have an event, and guess what? A gazebo is a structure, a bandstand is a structure. Put fire extinguishers in it. That should just be normal and standard, because you never know what's going to happen and where. That's all for today. Thank you.
You? Anybody else?
Nope.
Backing up the bus on the Metamora Community Park, it was brought up from someone else about more signage. I believe John and Janet, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we are working on that, trying to get a like you are here type thing, and this could be where you can go to, that sort of thing. And so keep in mind, this is a blind guy telling everybody, but that's the thought, to have a diagram so people can actually see what's going on, where to go, that sort of thing. So I think, going back to my first speaking, I think the DDA is working very well with the village board, trying to move these things along. We have a good set of people on both councils, in my opinion, so keep up the good work again, and we're trying to make this better for the community. Thank you.
Sure. Any other public time? If not, then I guess I'll entertain one more motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you everybody for coming out tonight.
1 second.
Here's his secretary now.
Oh, hi, thanks for the Glad to move forward.
Sorry, I wasn't making fun.
Oh.
Bye.
Oh, listen, if that's the only thing I have.
I haven't got it yet.
They're gonna want.
Do you need a ride, Bill?
I am.
I'm gonna try to squeeze in behind you.
You live at 41.
Yes.
Right, you helped me over.
I did.
Yes, nice to meet you.
You as well.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. I think